Welcome to Small Business COO, where we look into Google Sheets. First, I'd like to welcome you to the live stream. So if you don't know, Google Sheets is a spreadsheet software that's on Google Drive and part of the Google Suite. So in order to get there, go to google.com. You'll click on this menu and you can scroll down and get to Google Sheets and click it right there. So we're going to create a new sheet by hitting that plus. And right now we have an untitled spreadsheet. In order to title the spreadsheet, you click on Untitled and type the name of your worksheet right there. Call it Test. And Google Sheets, like any worksheet software, is laid out in columns and rows. So the columns are A through Z and more. The numbers are 1 through any number. You probably won't use all of the rows. So just recognize that it's a layout of fields and records, rows and columns. The columns are lettered, the rows are numbered. Spreadsheets are generally used for mathematical computations, but they can also be used for lists. They can be used for calendars. They can be used for any number of things where you need to keep track of data. So let's talk about general navigation. You can use your arrow keys on your keyboard to move right, left, up, and down throughout the grid. Every one of these rectangles is called a cell. So in this cell, we are in cell B4. So the name of the cell is always the intersection of the column letter and the row number. So this is cell E6, and the column is always first and the number row is always second. So we could go all the way to the right and get to Z6. We could go all the way down so far and we're at Z1000. So right now, even though you can add more rows, the amount of available rows currently in Google Sheets is Z, so 26 columns and 1,000 rows, but we can always add more. In order to get back to A1, you can hit Control Home on your keyboard to get back to A1. Now that we know a little bit about the layout, we can start adding numbers. So I like to title my worksheets, and we'll title this one as Revenue by Month. And I'm going to use revenue type for the description, and then January, February, March, April, and May. Now I can do some general formatting, and I can highlight. So in order to do that, you can click one cell, and I can do a center align, and I can use this borders here to underline. What I can also do is I can shift with the keyboard and click on May, and that will highlight January through May, and then I can center and underline as well. And I also want to enter a total so that we can add up. Wouldn't make any sense to not have the whole year, so let's put the whole year in. And let's put a total in too. Whenever I start thinking about this, I think about Bob Ross, and this is my canvas, and we're going to make happy little spreadsheets. So now I've got all 12 months and I've got a total. They're all centered, they're all underlined. I'm going to add revenue types. I usually like to leave a space in between just in case I need it for some other time. And we'll talk about this revenue in terms of like a YouTube creator business. So we could say Google AdSense sponsorships, brand deals, material or product sales, and then I'll put a total. We'll make it easy. That'll give us a few numbers to work with. You might want to put the year in here too, just to make sure that you've got a good number. If you put the apostrophe in, it'll treat it like text and it'll left align. The other thing you could do is always come in here and choose left align too. But then Google Sheets knows when you put the apostrophe in that the 2024 isn't a number. We're just using it as text in this format. So I'm going to put some numbers in. And I'm doing this just so that we have some numbers to work with. So bear with me while I work through this. I'm going to copy this over. We'll say it's $100 a month. So I hit Control C, and then I move over to C12 and I hit Shift, and then I move my right arrow and then Control V to paste. The other way I could do this is with product sales, say it's 75, and grab this circle here, and we can move it over, and that will copy and paste as well. So now that I've got my 4 columns, or my 4 rows and my 12 columns, I'm going to add a border here. And the other thing I could do, let me show you this because we'll format some numbers here. Want to format numbers so that we can see these better. It's hard to read 1,100 without the comma. So I'm going to hit Shift and then click N15 so that we can grab this whole range. And I'm going to right click, or I'm going to go Format, Number. I'm going to pick this number here. Actually, I'm going to do currency. Then I'm going to remove the decimals because we don't want to see cents. We just want to see dollars. So now that I've got that formatted, you can see 2000 looks better, 1100 looks better. Now, I usually only put dollars on the top row. It's just an accounting thing. So I'm going to remove the dollar signs on these. And that makes it look a little prettier and a little cleaner. So here, now that you know how to enter numbers, you know how to format them a little bit, you know how to do borders and center. Let's do our first formula. So I'm going to sum up row 10 by equal sum. And it actually autofills for me B10 to M10. And you can see that here and you can see it here. If that's what you want, you can just click enter. And that is what I want. I'm going to do a sum here as well. And that automatically fills into B10 to B13. So the formula, to be accurate, is equal sum B10, or open parentheses, B10 colon B13 close parentheses, and hit enter. What I like to do though, in case I add or delete rows, is I like to add the next row, 14. So if I ever add any rows under product sales, this formula is still valid and works. So I'm going to copy and paste that across. And I'm going to copy and paste this down. But oh look, I lost my border and I've got a formula here where I don't want it. So I'm going to undo, just Control Z, or I can hit this button here to undo. And I can copy again, and I'll use this here. I'm going to Shift and hold that, and then I'm going to hit the Control key and click on N15. So what that does is it highlights the cells that I want to paste to, and then I can right click. Oh, I can't. Let's do this again. Then I'm going to go to Edit, Paste Special, Formula Only. So now I maintain the border, and I don't put a formula in N14, and it keeps everything in good order and nice and pretty. So now, since we've got some formulas in here, we've learned about the sum function, which is equals sum, open parentheses, cell that you want to start at, colon, the cell that you want to finish at, close parentheses. There's other ways to use this sum function that we'll talk about another time. But what I want to also talk about are some other functions like average. It's like, for example, I can put in average here, and that's the arithmetic mean. And I can take these 12 numbers, close parentheses, and hit enter. And then I can see the average of Google AdSense money per month is 328. And then it also suggests an autofill to make it easy for you if you want to average sponsorships, brand deals, and product sales, which I do. So I'm going to hit the check mark or control enter to autofill. And then I'm going to type this as average. I'm going to center. And I'm going to select that bottom border again. Now here, I don't want a sum, but what I might want is average revenue per month. So I'm going to do average again, and I'm going to pick B15 to N15 and then close parentheses. And I don't want that because I don't want N included. So I'm going to keep, yeah, see B through N, I don't want that. I want M, so I'm going to change this to M, hit enter. So now what I can see is $864 a month is the average revenue per month. And I highlighted these 4 cells to see what the sum was, $864. What I could also do is I could see the average, the min, the max, the count, and the count numbers. And I'm going to do that. The other thing I can do with Google Sheets is I can name my sheet tabs. So you can have multiple tabs in Google Sheets. You can add a tab by hitting the plus sign here, and you get a second sheet that you can continue working in. I'm going to go back to sheet 1 though, and I'm going to rename it. And I'm going to title it revenue by month. So that is a solid introductory into Google Sheets. You can see how to name your Google Sheet, how to create headers and border them and center them. Columns are up and down, rows are left to right. Columns are lettered, rows are numbered. You can enter numbers, you can format the numbers here. And with the decimal, you can decrease decimal places and increase decimal places. You saw me do that. We can do sum functions and average functions. There's a lot more in Google Sheets that we'll talk about another time. I use just capital letters, but you could use lowercase letters too. We learned how to name a sheet, how to add a sheet. You can also change your rows. So when you get this to show up with your mouse, you can double click and it will auto adjust your rows. If you want to do multiple rows, you can highlight them all. So I did that by clicking on a column letter or a column header, and then shift and clicking out to the columns that I wanted to click out to. And then I'm going to double click to get all those to adjust. But does that look good? Not for me. I don't like it. So I'm going to highlight all the columns again, and I want them to be as wide as February. So that's how we're going to leave it. So thank you for watching this live stream. If you have any questions, feel free to comment, and we will attempt to pick those up in another live stream or in another video. Please subscribe to Small Business COO if you'd like to learn more about Google Sheets, if you'd like to be notified of our live streams, and if you would like to understand Google Sheets better for your small business. For continued learning in Google Sheets, watch this video next.